I'm going to ask two viewer questions, and I don't understand them, but I know our experts probably do. From Dana, what's the main difference between the b117 and b1351? Which vaccine is best against these variants? Does anybody want to tackle that?
Yeah, the variants, all the variants do a similar number on the spike protein. I think it's kind of a misnomer to call it a spike protein. The spike protein is actually a number of different proteins that all kind of wrap together. So if you imagine you take 4 or 5 different ropes and kind of braid them all together and then make a spike protein. Well, what if one of those ropes suddenly becomes just a wee bit different? It will change the contours of that a little bit. The b117, b1351, and the P1 variants, as well as a number of other variants, all seem to kind of affect the same regions, all through slightly different genetic mutations. They just seem to kink one of the 5 or 6 or 7 ropes a little bit, particularly in an area called the receptor binding domain, which is why it makes it a little bit more transmissible and a little bit more concerning in that regard. As far as I think the second part of that question was the vaccine, which of the vaccines is the most effective against it? The answer is all of them have kind of been looked at in those studies. They're a little bit tougher to do. Again, we said at the top of the thing that the Johnson & Johnson was tested in an environment with a lot of these variants. I think the news came out yesterday that it looks like the 117 variant is the most common one in the United States now, which isn't a surprise. I think we all knew that was going to happen eventually. But the vaccines are all effective against them. Again, and I think we said this at our last Science Museum meeting, the most important thing is to get a vaccine, because the more vaccination you have, the less likely we are to get more variants, because there will be less viral replication on a population level. Vaccines will not only protect you against the current variants, but they will also prevent further variants from coming about later on.